So way back in December of 2019, I made the resolution to myself that the next year in 2020, I would actually start journaling. And ever since that December, I have been continuously daily journaling the entire year, which literally sounds wild to me even just saying that, but it happened. And I think it can happen for a lot more people if they took away a lot of these preconceived ideas of what journaling is and the expectations attached to those ideas. So today I'm going to be sharing with you my exact journaling routine, the journal I use, and what I do with it every single day. And I'm also going to be sharing a couple of lessons I learned that I wish I could tell myself at the beginning of this journey. My journal is this really small softcover notebook by the brand Moleskine. I like to keep it in a traveler's notebook, which is essentially a leather cover that has strings that lets you change out the notebook once you finish them. This is really helpful for me because I go through these notebooks pretty quickly. I also like using my Kaweco roller gel pen, but the pen you use doesn't really matter. I just like using this one because it really makes me happy and it makes the practice more enjoyable. I'm a pretty big morning person, so it felt pretty natural to me to journal in the morning. So every morning when I get up, I throw on some pajamas, make a cup of tea, sit down with my tea, grab a blanket and my journal, and then I proceed to write 3 pages of longhand of really what's ever in my brain. Before I start emptying all of the contents of my brain, I like to first note the date, and to get things rolling, I like to write 3 things I'm grateful for that day. Then I keep writing until I filled up 3 pages, and once the 3 pages are full, I put away my journal and then I'll break out my agenda so I can get planning for the day and start my day's work. So that is my full journaling routine. It's pretty simple and very, very straightforward, but it works really well for me. And now that I've kind of explained the journal and the routine surrounding it, I'm going to take you through a couple of lessons and tips I wish I had known when I first started, and that I feel are just really important things I learned after journaling over a year. I'm starting with this first tip because I think it's one of the less talked about tips when it comes to journaling, and that is prepping for your journaling practice the night before. I find if I don't get a proper night's sleep, then the next morning trying to journal is really difficult because trying to verbalize your thoughts in a notebook when you're half asleep is just a losing battle. So I try to make sure that I get at least 8 hours of sleep and I do a bit of a wind down activity before I go to bed. For me, that's reading a book that isn't super stimulating. Right now I'm reading The Silmarillion, which is very, very relaxing, and all the names kind of make me sleepy right away, which is really nice. My second tip is a little more common, but that is to let go of your expectations of your writing. Having beautiful, elegant, Shakespearean level journal entries is not the point. The point of the activity of journaling, in my mind, is just to get my thoughts on the paper so that they are out of my head. And that exercise of emptying my head of thoughts allows me to have a lot more mental clarity throughout the day and allows me to start my day with a really fresh mind. So to illustrate this, because I know it's kind of hard to say, oh, well, your writing doesn't matter, but it's like, inside you feel like it really does matter. I'm going to read you a couple of my journal entries so you can understand that I wrote these things and I am happy to write them because now these thoughts are out of my head and I was able to be in a much better mind space for the entire day. So here are a couple of my thoughts. Okay, this one is from October 26th, 2019, back when we had no idea what was happening in 2020. It goes like this. I had the most dramatic encounter with a skunk. The word skunk is underlined. Last night, ! Here's what went, WHENT, spelling, down, ... Now, I'm not going to go into details about this story, but there's me and a skunk, and no one got sprayed, thankfully. Moving on. Okay, this one is from December 15th, 2019. Oh dang. I take back what I said about it snowing lately. It's really coming down now. This is from August 30th, 2020, so a recent one. Anyway, before sitting down to journal, I made the pancake batter, which is now sitting for half an hour, which reminds me, I should really go put the oven on! Exclamation point. We do not being underlined, want cold pancakes. So yeah, those were some of the things I wrote, and you can write stuff like that too. It doesn't need to be poetry. The third tip is to create a ritual around your journaling time and make it enjoyable. As you just saw in my journaling routine, I like to get really cozy and comfortable with a blanket and my morning cup of tea, and that just makes a really enjoyable situation that is also linked to an activity that I have to do every day, which is making my cup of tea in the morning so I can get my brain started. I also like to make sure that my journal is enjoyable. Having a smaller notebook was a very intentional choice because I don't want to be journaling for hours on end in the morning. While I want to spend some time journaling, I don't like to spend more than 20 minutes doing it, and that's why a smaller journal is perfect for me because it only takes me about 15 to 20 minutes to fill up 3 pages. And that makes my practice a lot more enjoyable, but also realistic for me. And then finally, the last tip is to make your journal an enjoyable place to write in. Although it's really nice to have a beautiful notebook, and I think that's an important aspect of your journal, you also want to make sure that it's easy for you to write in and you actually enjoy writing in it, because you'll be doing that a lot more than you will be looking at it, most likely. So for me, a couple things that I like to ensure is that my journal lays flat. That's why I like having a soft cover notebook, and I also find having this very overpriced brass clip to hold my pages down to make the entire process go by smoother and make it a lot easier for me to sit down and write. And with those tips out of the way, that kind of concludes this really quick and dirty overview on how to start journaling and how I like to journal. I hope that this gave you a couple ideas on how straightforward and simple journaling can be. It's really not this complicated, mystical process that I think sometimes it can feel like when you start out. And let me know what you like to do for your own journaling routine, because although I'm a morning person, maybe if you're a nighttime journaler, someone who has more night-based sleep habits might really enjoy hearing from you. And lastly, if you guys are all still here, thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this video mildly entertaining or perhaps a little bit informative. And that is all from me. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!